Alright, so you got the folders in here. Now the flour is here. Now these are the different materials that make it, but you will need to make a material. I'll show you how to do that. So we'll load small grid, which I've already made these in there, but I'll just redo the process. There is one bug that probably is why a lot of people don't fool with this. But once you know what it is, you'll know not to worry about it. Because you'll know I told you what it is, and you won't have to figure out why it was doing what it was doing. Yeah, apparently, it don't update right away. You have to reload the level once you apply the ground cover. You'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. So this is the one that I already got made, and uh, so what you'll do. Let me pull up the editor here. Go to material editor and make a new material, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. I'll call it flour 2. Alright, now you can open the asset browser and drag and drop in here. I'm sure you probably know that. So this ground covers is flour 1. We have the albedo that's going to go to color. The normal, we'll put the normal in the normal. Go to advanced opacity, put the opacity, and the roughness, put it in the specular. Then go down to advanced, and I would tell it double-sided and alpha clip, and I don't know, we'll just do about 88, and save it. Don't forget to save it. Now here's the thing about ground covers. Just all you have to know is what terrain paint you want it on. It's like this test material. Obviously there's nothing on here. It's just black. Well, that grass is on there. Just ignore that grass. I'm just showing you that the name of this terrain paint is test. Go up here to create a new object and pick ground cover, which is a little blade of grass here. Now when you press left button, hit escape on the keyboard so that it'll quit creating them, or it'll just keep creating ground covers. So just hit escape and you'll see a new ground cover appear. Depending on the other ones you may already have in the scene, it may be numbered 6 or 7 or maybe number 1. Go to the inspector window, and the first thing you'll see up here is the material. BNG grass 3, that's the game's default grass. What you're going to do is select that new material that you just made. Flour 2 in this particular case. And I don't know how in the hell did I get over there? There's no telling. There's no telling. Sorry. Got thrown off course somehow. So like I said, put the new material in here. Now, you'll likely, what you're going to need to do, go down to types, to type 1, or type 0. The layer, that's the name of the material that you want it to show up on. In this particular case, test. That was the name of the terrain paint. Now, that's the bug I was telling you about. It will show you that no material. All you have to do is save the level at this point and reload the level, and it gets around that bug. I don't know why it's been doing that for 2 years. Alright, now what you'll see here, if we get up to this thing, you'll see like, wow, there's like 5 different blades of grass. Yeah, it's 5 different flowers. Uh, Go back to the ground cover. Up here where you see max elements, this is how many times you want it to draw. We'll just leave this stuff alone for now. What we're going to do now is just fix this. Now this is the new feature that they added in a previous update. You see that little square in the billboards? Click on it and it'll pull this up. Now what you're going to do is just select, I can minimize this here. You're going to select just the middle flower and hit OK. I'll show you how to pick another one. Now all of these aren't in here, only the ones on the corners in the middle. See how that works? It's pretty easy. And then you can tell it maybe you want 50,000 of them. I would adjust that texture though a little bit more. See how it's overly bright in the material for that flower, the one we created. Adjust the roughness, that's in lighting. Also, I forgot to mention, turn on anastrophic filtering, then adjust the amount of roughness. I just turn the roughness all the way down and then it'll be represented correctly. That alpha clip that we messed with, that's the amount of that it applies the opacity map. And that's it. That's pretty much the basics. Let me know if there's any confusion or anything, but I think that's pretty much it. You can adjust the wind and all that stuff in the ground cover settings. It's at the bottom. You got the wind length. If we get out a little farther, I'll put a lot more grass. I'll put like 250,000 of them. And we'll adjust the length of the wind, the strength. Oh, that's the frequency, sorry. The strength, the frequency. See, the length is how long each wave of wind is. The frequency is how often each wave of wind is. And of course the strength is how much it's blowing each time. So you could do something kind of like this where it's not blowing so much. And then the wobbling you see in between each wave, that's the turbulence strength and frequency. Up here, this is the distance, and it'll draw those out, which I only painted that little paint in this little spot. But if you reduce how far it can draw, it'll just make them more densely packed. The dissolve radius is where it starts to fade out. You wouldn't have to worry about that with your computer, but like poor performing computers, they probably would want to fade that pretty quickly. These are default at like 250. 200 for the radius, 50 for the dissolve radius. I wouldn't go crazy with max elements. Like, it's not uncommon though. The developers use up to like 1 million for like just one of the grass blades on Jungle Island, for example. So that's not crazy uncommon to see that many. What I prefer doing is have them draw out farther so you can see them a long way away. But if you're going to make them far away, then you'll want to make the dissolve radius also far away. So draw off into the distance. There we go. Now you can see them. So if I tell this to be 1,000 away, it'll make them 1,000 away, but then there's a lot less of them because there's more that has to. That million doesn't look like that many when it's drawing that far away, but if you tell it to draw all million very close, that's some dense shit right there. You don't want the dissolve radius to be less than more than the radius, or you'll see that obvious edge there. You want to kind of maybe make it 1/4 of that distance, whatever that distance is what I would suggest. Or, depending, what's your preference? The reflect scale, no shit what that means. Grid size, I don't mess with that. I don't mess with the Z offset either. There's another option called clumping. Clump, how much something clumps together. As you adjust the clump count, max clump count, and all that, it basically, well, you know what clumping is. How something clumps together. So there's a lot of varieties of different combinations. And just kind of experiment with it until you see something that works for you. And of course you got all these others you can add to, but I won't get into all that. I did include like 2 other ones that you can mess with, the grasses and stuff. So let me know any problems.